Hello, I'm Vincent Price. Welcome to the kitchen again. I've got quite a journey in food for you today. We're going to start in the Gulf Coast area of the United States, my country, and move on over the country and out to Hawaii, which of course is also part of the United States now. And then we're going to travel across the blue Pacific to Indonesia. All three dishes we're going to make today use rice as their basic ingredients. Now, I suppose when we think of rice, we naturally think of the paddy fields of Asia, but actually over the half of the rice eaten in Europe and the UK comes from America. In Asia, of course, there isn't any surplus for export that there is in America. The rice I'll be using today is American long grain rice, sometimes called Patna rice, from the days when this type was chiefly associated with a district in northeast India. It's the most common form of rice and the one usually referred to when a recipe calls for a savory rice. I'll need some boiled rice for both the first dish I'm going to prepare and for the last one later on in the program, so I'll show you how it's done. With rice, it is very important to get the proportions right. For every 1 cup of rice, you use 2 cups of water and 1 level teaspoon of salt. And I've found that about a tablespoonful of salad cooking oil helps keep the grains apart. So it's a simple 1-to-1 ratio, plus the oil if you want to try it. Now, any cup will do, provided you use the same one for all the ingredients. And I've measured out the water in the same cup that I measured out of the rice. So you put it in your pan, put in your salt, and you put it on the stove, and we'll use it later on. I previously boiled up some, which I've kept in the fridge. Now, you can keep cooked rice for about a week in a fridge, or if you've got a freezer, you can keep it almost indefinitely if you just put it in a sealed polythene bag or food container, as I have here. I've got here about 6 ounces of cooked American long grain rice, and I'm going to use it to make what's known as a Gulf Coast salad. The Gulf Coast states of the United States are Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi, and are at the heart of America's rice-growing area. And I found this dish in the glamorous French quarters of New Orleans, where America produced jazz, and it's from here that this dish originates. The first thing to do is to toss some 8 ounces of prawns. Here are our prawns. 3 ounces of chopped green onions and 4 ounces of finely chopped celery and the rice. Toss them together in a bowl. Then I have made a dressing for this Gulf Coast salad, which consists of half a teaspoon of horseradish sauce, half a teaspoon of English mustard powder, half a teaspoon of chili sauce, and a couple of dashes of what we call in America hot chili sauce, and the juice of 6 lemons. I've put that all with 6 tablespoons of mayonnaise and 2 tablespoons of tomato sauce. Now, our rice on the stove will be boiling by now, and indeed it is. So I'm going to stir it up once, put the lid on it, and then I'm going to let it simmer for 15 minutes. Turn it down to simmer. There we go. 2 things that are very important. Never stir the rice after you've left it to simmer. This will only mash the grains and make them sticky. And never peek in to see how it's going. That lets out the steam and lowers the temperature. Now, back to the ingredients of our Gulf Coast salad. You mix the two things, the dressing and the rice and shrimps and onions that are already mixed in the bowl. Mix them all up very well so that you coat every grain of rice with that delicious dressing. Mix it up thoroughly, and then you serve it in a very pretty crystal bowl in which I put some crushed ice, and I'm now going to make a nest in the bottom of it, a kind of flower of good fresh lettuce leaves, and then I will put the rice salad into the nest of lettuce leaves. There we have it. Garnish it a little bit with some chopped parsley and some lemon wedges, and you have what is a very simple and quick dish with which you can start a meal in a style, in a real style, especially when unexpected guests arrive. The next dish I want to prepare comes from the island of Maui in the Hawaiian island group, Hawaiian Islands, which is now part of the Americas. And it's called Hawaiian chicken and long grain rice. The Hawaiian Islands are a racial hodgepodge, as you know, which perhaps explains this dish, which takes its derivation from all over the Pacific. The island of Maui, from which it comes, is the site of the earliest sugarcane plantations in the islands and is still just about the only one of them that's not spoilt by tourism. Anyway, it was here that I found this dish in the lovely little town of Hana on the island of Maui. Maui is also one of the few places left in the islands where you can still go, as I did, to a traditional luau or party feast. You go decked with wreaths of orchids and flowers, men and as well as women. So if you ever get a chance to go to one of these luau's, this dish is the sort of thing that you may well eat. The first stage of the operation is to heat some oil in a pan. And then into this, I'm going to put some chopped green onions. Chopped onions, not fresh green onions. And 1 clove of garlic. The oil on here is going to heat up very quickly. I put the onions into it and the garlic. There we have that part done. Mix it up, and now I'm going to leave it to saute until the onion is soft and golden. Put it down a little bit. I don't want it to burn. That really kind of spoils the flavor if you let it burn. I wonder how many of you have ever taken the flesh off of a raw chicken. Well, let me assure you, it's one terrible job. I've learned to do it, and perhaps if you will watch, I'll show you some of the secrets. I haven't time to do the whole thing. But if you take a pair of poultry shears and run down the backbone like that, you will find that it is very easy to break that backbone and start peeling the flesh off of the breast. Then with a sharp knife, you just remove it from the breastbone like that, and there you have it. Now, I haven't got time to show you the whole thing, but the one thing you must do is do not throw away any bones or any of the skin or anything. Save all of those, because you're going to need some stock, and you're going to need them to make the stock. One of the nice things about this recipe is that you don't waste anything. Having gotten the flesh off of the chicken, and it takes a little time and experience to do it, you next have a fairly easy job of cutting the chicken into bite-sized pieces. I've already cut up some of it from another chicken. I put those into a bowl here. Now, if you've remembered your bones, you will be able to make the stock you're going to need for the next stage. Making stock is really very easy. All you do is boil the bones in a couple of pints of water for about 2 hours. Use the giblets and the neck and the leg and every part of the chicken except the liver, which may give it a little bit of a bitter flavor. Now we're going to put 1½ pints of stock, which I have already made, in with the onions, which have been cooking on the stove. Here are my onions. I'll bring them out here. We'll put 1½ pints of good, rich chicken stock into that. Then we also put in the chicken, which we've cut up, and we put in some salt and some pepper, naturally, and you do that. You know by now exactly how much of that you want, and a teaspoonful of ginger. Ginger is one of the secrets of all Oriental cooking and is a great favorite in England. Then this has to be taken, brought back to the boil, turned down, and allowed to simmer for, let's say another 30 minutes. I have already made another patch of stuff on the back of the stove because I think you will agree with me that all of that takes a lot more time than we have time for on this program. And into that, I am going to add about 8 ounces of the long grain rice. Into the pot it goes. I'm using the same long grain rice that I used for the other dish, but this is not already cooked as the other was. Now you sprinkle on top of that about 4 ounces of chopped celery. Or if you want to be more Hawaiian and more adventurous, you can look around and try and find some water chestnuts or bamboo shoots. You can find them tinned. Now that should be left to simmer for another 15 minutes. Incidentally, you don't wash American long grain rice before you cook it, because washing it causes it to lose nearly half of its vitamins. And these can also be lost by cooking it in too much water when you're boiling it. Be sure of your proportions. To save time, I've got the finished dish right here. I didn't really think that you'd want me to stand around for 15 minutes in dead silence while I watched the pan boil. Here is the dish done. Now, you turn it out onto a very pretty platter. Turn it out, and then one of the things that is great fun is to garnish it in the Hawaiian style. I'm going to take a little time to show you that because it really makes such a very pretty dish. Arrange your rice very nicely all the way around, and then take some leaves as the Hawaiians do. Decorate it. They're some pretty leaves. Take some rings of pineapple, put them on leaves, make kind of flowers of them. Take pimento, put them down the leaves in strips, making a kind of floral arrangement on the top. And then you can sprinkle a little soy sauce over it. That is a delicious addition and a very genuine Oriental addition. And put a little parsley in pretty areas around it, and you will have the final topping in the Hawaiian style. Take a beautiful flower and put it right in the middle. There it is, the finished dish. Now, I want to move down from Hawaii to Indonesia, which used to be called the Dutch East Indies. And Indonesian cooking is very popular in Holland even today. In fact, this recipe became such a favorite with the Dutch that it is now regarded as one of their traditional dishes, almost a national dish. The last time I had it was in Amsterdam. It's called nasi goreng, or Indonesian fried rice. Before I cook it, I want to tell you of a quaint old Indonesian custom. In Java, rice is thought to be the offspring of the goddess Dewi Sri, and no Javanese girl is considered eligible for marriage until she can make a perfect bowl of rice. Now, if you will follow the instructions that I gave you earlier on the program, you will be able to get a husband and make a perfect bowl of rice. The time has now come to take from the stove the rice that I put on at the very start of the program, for this is where it is to be used. Now, our rice here, we fluff it up with a fork so that your grains won't stick together. And into this pan, I'm going to put 4 tablespoons full of cooking oil. And I'm going to add to that some chopped onions, 2 medium onions, which I have previously chopped and cooked as we did with the Hawaiian dish. I'm also going to add 4 ounces of chopped meat, diced. In this case, it's ham, although we can vary this with almost any other kind of meat or seafood or poultry. Take it back to the stove now with our 3 cups of rice in here, and mix it all together like that. Take it back to the stove, put it on, and let it boil. Bring it up to the boil. Don't forget, this is fried rice, so you want to boil it very, very well. Swirl it around, keep it moving, and then make a little well in the center of it. And in there, you break 2 eggs. Break 2 eggs, and let them almost scramble, but don't let them get hard. Don't let them get hard. They're going to have to come right up there now. Mix it up. Let it scramble. And then gradually, as the eggs begin to get firm, you mix them in to the rice. Now, remember, when deciding how much rice you want to serve, that it will expand to 3 times the original quality when cooked. Now, the cup that we had here was 1 cup, if you remember, and it became 3 cups of cooked rice. To this, we now add 2 teaspoons of soy sauce, and I urge you to use soy sauce. It's a great addition to this kind of cooking. Sometimes you can use Worcester sauce or other sauces, or maybe meat essence, but I believe in soy sauce. We use it in all kinds of cooking. Make it come together, keep it going. The eggs will help thicken the whole thing. And now, I have a little secret that after I have done this dish, I sprinkle curry on top of it. Some of you may love curry, and you may want to put it in the dish. If you do, everything will taste of curry. All this is now mixed up and heated right straight through. Now, we're ready to take it over here and serve it. Now, once again, we're going to serve it on a very pretty plate. This is your nasi goreng, the Indonesian fried rice. With ham this time. Don't forget, you can vary it with anything you want. You can even put different kinds of meat into it. I'm not going to put much more than that into it. Now, one of the ways to serve it is to sprinkle, as I said, the curry powder over the whole dish. It gives a very different flavor than when you cook it with curry. Decorate it with tomato wedges, and I think you'll find it's absolutely a delightful dish. That is our last dish of the day, nasi goreng, made with American long grain rice. Now, as soon as I get through making this really very pretty, I'm going to run through all of the ingredients that we have used today. All of them serve 4 people, and all of them have used American long grain rice. Now, starting with the Gulf Coast salad, we used 8 ounces of peeled prawns, 6 ounces of long grain American rice. It was cooked, but uncooked it is 2 ounces of rice and 1/4 pint of water. 3 ounces of spring onions, finely cut. Sometimes you can cut them with a scissor if you want to. 4 ounces of celery, also cut up very fine. Salt and pepper to taste. And then a dressing made of a 1/2 teaspoon of horseradish sauce, 1/2 teaspoon of mustard powder, 1/2 teaspoon of hot American pepper sauce, and 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. All of that is mixed into 6 tablespoons of mayonnaise and 2 tablespoons of tomato sauce. Have you got that now? You sure you have it? I think you'll find that delicious. Remember to serve it on a bed of lettuce on ice. It will make it very chilling and delicious for a summer afternoon. Now we'll move on to the Hawaiian chicken and long grain rice. Here we use a 3-pound chicken from which you have removed the flesh. Practice that. It's great fun. I think you'll find it really a thrilling experience when you learn how to do it completely. Use 8 ounces of long grain rice, 1½ pints of chicken stock made from the bones of the chicken that you have taken the meat off of, 1 onion, finely minced, 1 clove of garlic, that's a bud and that's a clove, 1 small tin of pineapple rings, half a teaspoon or a teaspoon, as I used, of ginger, this is optional, and 4 ounces of chopped celery, or make the discovery for yourself of the delicious crunchiness of water chestnuts or bamboo shoots. You can find them in specialty stores, and they're really worth looking for. Now, you had to have 4 tablespoons of oil for frying, and salt and pepper to taste, of course. Our final dish was the nasi goreng from Indonesia. For this we used 4 tablespoons full of cooking oil, 2 medium onions, again chopped very finely, 4 ounces of diced cooked ham, or remember I said you can use shrimp or fowl or any other kind of meat that you want to, 1 cup of long grain American rice, 2 teaspoons of soy or meat essence. Now, I beg of you to really make the effort to find soy sauce. It is one of the taste sensations of this kind of cooking. Now, you also can use 1 tablespoonful or a teaspoonful of curry, depending on how much you like it, and you can do as I did, sprinkle it over it at the end. I think you may find that is subtler. Then there were 2 eggs, which we broke into the middle and scrambled and then mixed into the fried rice. And then we decorated it with tomato wedges. Well, there are our 3 dishes for today made with long grain rice. I want to finish by asking you all to try these dishes, if only for one reason, because the ancient Chinese and the ancient Hindus agreed on one thing. Rice is the symbol of fertility, which is, I suppose, why we throw it over newlyweds. So, happy eating, and may you all grow rich and multiply. 2 and 2 makes 4, and, well, here is my Gulf Coast salad. I'm going to take a trip back to New Orleans. Back to New Orleans. I'm going to try it.